Hello. In this video, we will look at finding the measure of dispersion in a grouped frequency table. The grouped frequency table shows information from a 2008 survey about the ages of women having their first child. Here's our grouped frequency table. It shows us that 7 women had their first child between the ages of 16 and 20. 19 children had their first child between 20 and 25, and so on. I've also added a column for grouped frequency. Now, this table then isn't quite right. It could suggest that 53 women had their first child between 25 and 30, but in fact 53 women had their first child between 16 and 30. But I've written in these cumulative frequencies to help me find my quartiles and my measure of dispersion. I'm going to find the quartiles from a cumulative frequency graph first, and then we will look at a method for finding them more accurately in the grouped frequency table. Here we notice that n is 100, so I'm just going to note that here, n is 100, and we will find Q1 where n plus 1 divided by 4. We're going to find the first quartile. We will find it in position 25.25. That's the position of our first quartile. That's not our first quartile. We will find the position of our second quartile by dividing by 2. We want to go halfway along the data. We will find it in the 50.5 position. And finally, we will find our third quartile or upper quartile 3/4 of the way along our data. And we will find it in the position of 75.5. So I'm going to read these values from my cumulative frequency graph. I need to, along cumulative frequency, go up to 25.25. I'm going to draw a vertical line across to my graph and then read the value from the scale of age. Do your best on a scale like this to find that point. Draw your line across and try and read a value. Well, I think here I'm going to read the value of 25. I'm going to say that Q1 is equal to 25. That's an age, 25 years old. I'm going to draw the line across from 50.5 again. Difficult to see accurately on this scale. Do your best. 50.5, somewhere here. That might be a little too high. I'm going to read it as 30 years here, so I'm going to say that Q2, that's my median, remember, as well, is 30 years. Q3 I will find in position 75.5. Again, a difficult one to read here. So going up to 75.5, about there. Again, that might be a little too high. I'm going to read down, I'm going to read that as 34. So Q3 is 34. So my IQR, my interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q1, here that is the value 34 minus 25. That value is 9. Now, don't worry about the inaccuracy of reading a graph. One reason we show these dotted lines is to show our calculations, and on graphs we will be given a margin to read. In this slide, I will show you a method for calculating these values more accurately from the cumulative frequency graph. I have already noted the positions of these values. So for Q1, I'm looking for the 25.25 value. I look down my cumulative frequency graph and decide which group that is in. I've got 7 values here, and by the time I get to this group, I've got 26 values, so that's past the 25.25 value. So my Q1 is going to be in that group. I'm also going to draw a diagram to help me follow what's going on. So I have from 20 to 25. That's my age. I also have from 7 to 26. That's my frequency. In fact, it's my cumulative frequency, you'll notice, 7 to 26. Now, I need to find the 25.25 value. That's the value I'm looking for. I'm going to find out how far along the group it is. I find that by doing 25.25 minus 7, which gives me 18.25. I'm also going to note that this was a frequency of 19. So I'm going to start by dividing this group, the age, into 19 equal parts. Each person, I'm going to assume that the women, are equally spaced along this group. And then I need to find the woman who is 18.25 along there, and I discover that is 4.8. So this value here is actually going to be the 20 plus the 4.8. 24.8. So Q1 is going to be the 20 plus the 4.8, which is 24.8. You see, it's much more accurate than reading the graph. On the graph, I got 25. Now, let's look at Q2, the median. The median is at the 50.5 value along. Well, I've got 26 here and I've got 53 here, so it must be in this group. Let's note that we're in that group first off. I'm running from 25 to 30. That's my age. My frequency runs from 26 to 53. That's my frequency. And I need to find the 50.5 value. So this gap is 50.5 minus 26, and that gives me 24.5. This gap, that is the 53 minus the 26, but I can also see it here from my frequency table, was 27. So I'm going to divide this age, the difference there is 5. I'm going to divide it into 27 equal parts, and I need 24.5 of them, and that will give me 4.5. Remember, I've gone along from 25, I add on the 4.5, that gives me 29.5. Q2 is 29.5 years, remember. On my graph, I had 30. So we can see again, this is to 1 decimal place more accurate. and we're going to look at Q3. So I need the 75.5 value. I've got 53 here and 80 here, so it must be in this group, 30 to 35. That's the age. The frequency goes from 53 to 80. And I need to find 75.5 position along that line by doing a subtraction. I find that gap is 22.5. The full gap here, well, I can read it from the frequency table. It was again 27. I need to divide my age into 27 equal parts. And then I need 22.5 of them. That will give me 4.2. I need to add that onto my 30, so Q3 will be 34.2. Again, on my graph, I read 34. So I was close on the graph, but these are more accurate. Finally, let's look at the IQR. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1, which is Q3, 34.2, minus Q1, 24.8, and that is 9.4. And this is years, of course. It's a spread of 9.4 years. Again, I had 9 from my graph. Here, I've got a more accurate answer. Now, this method here is called interpolation. And you've seen a method of using interpolation to find the quartiles in a grouped frequency table. That's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful.